On today's Minute of the Apes, I went pee. I was not sick. You're welcome, Todd.
Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape! Exercise with an ape maker, human down. It talks. Learning keepers of the divine bound. It is our only reason for survival. We are determined to know what the apes want, war or peace. The only good human is a dead human!
Hello and welcome to Minute of the Apes, daily podcast where we break down every minute of the Planet of the Apes movies, 1 minute at a time. I'm Todd. That's Richard. That's Sean. I'm trying to be as fast as we
All
can.
right, get through that.
Sean listens to every podcast. Richard, do you know this? He listens like on times 20 speed.
He does, yeah.
It's 3 times.
insane.
I did talk to Richard about it. He does not watch it because, A, he has a 5-minute drive to anywhere he needs to go, and B, he's not going to play it in the store just so people hear podcasts all the time.
Well, especially at insane speed, and they'd be like, what gibberish is that you're listening to? So I have about a 25-minute drive to work. It depends on traffic,
Right.
And it's almost exactly perfect for a podcast every day. I just put it on, I listen to one to and one from, unless my mother calls, at which point then everything stops down. But that's the story of my life, and I digress. But I don't understand. Sean played that for me. It was just like, what? So I'm kind of curious when when I do the fast talk like that. I'm kind of curious what his podcast will end up sounding like.
I do get every now and then when I take my car in to be washed by the car service, I will accidentally leave it connected to my car, and so I'm listening to it in the sitting area, and they'll go, your car just went insane and started screaming at us. I'm like, no, I'm listening to my podcast. I'm fine.
Well, Sean has the insane police following him even when he leaves here, so I don't know what to say that. All right, so we are minute 59. Sean, tell us what's going on with minute 59.
All right, we start minute 59 with Hassline saying, that's Dr. Hassline saying, thank you, Dr. Dixon, and ends with Zero saying, yes, but when they died... ...
So this is one of those minutes that I like to warn you guys about. It doesn't have exactly the most compelling thing to listen to, but here comes minute 59 of Escape from the Planet of the Apes.
Thank you, Dr. Dixon. It's customary to stay. Zira, you worked in a room like this.
Bigger, but not so pretty.
And there you practiced
Comparative.
comparative what?
Anatomy?
Anatomy? Whose anatomies did you compare? Apes and humans? Zira, say yes if you mean yes.
Yes.
So you dissected other apes?
Yes. When they died.
All right, as minute 59, we have a planet's worth of humans plus 2 living apes, 1 who's pregnant, thank you, Zero, and 1 dead ape.
And Cornelius, we assume.
He's somewhere in there.
I mean, thank you, Zero, for the pregnancy of the ape.
Now, well,
Did he have something to do with it? Is he the father?
You'd assume
we're
so.
hoping Cornelius is.
What did I say?
I didn't know if it was Ursus
Did
or
I
not.
say
I didn't know if
Cornelius?
they had a... I didn't
Was
know
it
if there was-
Aldo? I don't know.
Stop it. I said Cornelius, right? I didn't
You
say...
did.
Okay, good. You're making me worried that I said somebody else's name.
No, I just all of a sudden had
Wow.
like a little flash.
Are you sure
of
it
that
wasn't-
they did Love Story of Planet of the Apes.
I
And
mean,
it
let's
was
be quite honest. We
Ursus
don't
and her.
know if it's Dr. Milo's kid. Who knows?
Ooh, hey.
I mean, they're apes. We don't know their sexual preferences. Is it monogamous? Is it open-ended? Who knows? I don't know what apes, how they work out.
Hi,
with
kids.
their
That's Uncle
dick
Sean
out.
talking to you. I'm sorry that Mommy and Daddy didn't want you to hear these kind of things, but Uncle Sean sometimes gets a little carried away with himself. He's really nice, I promise.
In between about the birds and the bees.
No, good Lord.
According to Uncle Sean.
Hey, kids. We like to have fun.
So we basically got a minute that, we said this in the pre-pro, it's not exactly the most compelling minute to watch alone.
Dialogue-wise, yeah.
We're basically, to summarize, Zira gets a shot. Zira gets a shot.
Oh, wait, you
Zira
give me
gives
shit last minute about talking, and now you can't get Zira and Vera.
I mess up on one word.
The one thing
That's how it works.
The one thing that stood out to me about this was that Dr. Dixon assumed
Hey, everybody has a problem. Thank you.
Dr.
Wait, are we
Dixon
clinking now? Is that what we're doing?
insisted upon staying in the room.
Right.
Yes.
Right. He said, "Thank you, Dr. Dixon." And Lewis basically says, "It's customary to stay." The script says their eyes lock, as if Lewis was, or Haslund was going to move Dixon out of this room, and Dixon said, "I'm staying for this,
And I thought
I'm in it for the grape juice plus."
And I actually thought it was a little bit of a role reversal, because that would have been a Zira line if this had been on the Planet of the Apes. She would have been the one that actually says,
I'm staying here for this.
Yeah, because she would have stayed for Taylor. So suddenly it's a role reversal. Dixon is to that.
I mean, has Dixon been this authoritative before?
No, and that's the reason I almost thought the sass had worn off. Maybe when he stuck the ape arm, he got a little bit of sass on him.
Meanwhile, me, with new news that are coming out about people, I'm thinking Dr. Dixon is watching somebody being assaulted and has no problem with it.
That's how you felt about the scene?
Mm-hmm. He's like, all right, give her drugs, make her talk about
She's
whatever.
just a pet.
He doesn't care. It's fine with me. She's a future monkey. We're just talking to her
He
now.
wants to stay in the room to make sure that she's okay, not that he has any ability to exact a change in any particular moment in this minute. I mean, so what happened is Dixon administered the shot to Zira's arm, and while he's doing that, if you look closely, you see E1 or Agent 1 move into the room. This is
Short
mustache guy.
Right.
He moves behind, but you don't really see him. You just see his legs. And then Haslund comes in behind him, which allows him and Dixon to have this conversation. So I was kind of a little confused because I had to watch Agent 1 move in, because otherwise he just suddenly showed up in that room.
Right.
But he did. You could see him move in behind. So Dixon insists upon staying. He steps behind, and E1 or Agent 1 with the mustache gets down close to Zira to actually do these questions. I mean, he is actually now well lit. And if he hadn't been, they had to put a light on him. Otherwise, that would have just been, based upon where his position is, it would have been just Haslund and Dixon's well lit crotches.
Man, I look at that again, and I'm sorry. That is single point lighting. Look at so the way you can tell it, his shoulder has no point of illumination. It's a wash because the back of his shoulder is exposed the same as the front. They're doing single point lighting. I mean, they were super economical in the production of this film. It's crank. Do we have exposure? We do. Go.
But when did they put that on? Because that would have been, if we take it back just a little bit, that would see it goes from there.
Well, those are two different setups, though. And the lighting's even different
He's
now.
back.
Yeah, different shots, yeah.
And then she starts talking. We get the shot of Dixon in the corner of the room, and then he smiles, and then it moves in.
So go back. So I want you to look right there. Look at the shadows underneath his jaw.
Yeah.
That's indicative of the placement of the light. Those shadows are not there in the previous shot.
Correct.
So you can do that. You can leave that same light there. So a light like this, that it would be at 1K, 5K, actually has a zooming feature. And so if they know that they are going to go in longer, there's more glass to get
stronger,
exposed,
yeah.
then they're going to have to push the light harder. That causes those shadows.
So
They're just cranking and going.
Was the insistence of Dixon being in the room to assure the audience that everything was going to be fine?
At some point, if it goes too far, he's supposed to be the one that stops him down, but you don't necessarily know if he will stop him down.
But Dixon won't. But I mean, he's in the room, and if I were an audience member, okay, Dixon's in the room, I feel comfortable.
He's our moderating
things are not going to go bad with
safety,
Zira.
I
Under this
totally agree. Think about it. There's a reason she's not strapped down. How many times have you seen scenes like this where somebody's
they strap somebody down, they're freaking out right now.
Literally
this is gonna
in
go
a
horribly
chair,
Right.
strapped down, tied down, you're interrogated,
Instead, we've got her in a very passive environment.
In a bed.
She's safe. There's a microphone pointed towards her. And we know that Dixon is just on the opposite angle of the room watching her. He's not going to... We know because I like him. So he's going to take care of me. It's entirely wise there.
So Agent 1's directions for this was gentle throughout.
Yeah.
He goes, Zira. And Zira's directions are slurry at first. And he goes, you worked in a room like this. I want to know what he was trying to evoke for her, that she worked in. How does he know that she worked in kind of this military interrogation room?
Well, this is where I had a note, because it determines if you think he's a bad or good interrogator depending on where you want him to go, because every question he's asking her is leading her. He's saying, you meant anatomy. Did you compare humans and apes? He's leading her to where he wants to go.
Yeah.
So if that's where you want them to go, he's a good interrogator. If you wanted him to find out the truth, he's a bad interrogator.
Well, I think no matter what, he's a threat.
Yeah.
He is exactly that.
What did you want to do to these people? What's going on?
So here's the direction. You worked in a room like this, and Zira says, bigger, but not so ... pretty. And the direction is, camera rolls the cold, clinical little room, period. And then, pretty ... exclamation point. What kind of direction is that?
Oh, look at this horrible shit.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
Pretty ... weird direction. So 2 lines were cut out. Agent 1 says, with 2 assistants, and Zira is supposed to say 3. That notation was cut out. There was really no need to put that in there, except the fact that he's leading her to trying to describe trying to set the scenario for her to talk about what she does.
Can I see your page? Because I'm curious about how that's written. For those of you who don't know, Richard is our king in that he comes with a printed copy of the script.
The old scripts of the original movies, yeah.
I have such bad eyes, got to pull it away from me even with that. Huh.
What are you looking for?
I wanted to read the what he says, camera roves the cold, clinical little room. That's a very typical thing. Usually screenwriters are not supposed to write camera direction, but if you're writing for this, where you're actually writing what it's supposed to do, that will happen.
We didn't really get that. We got a shot of Dixon smiling.
Right. But we get the pretty.
What does that mean?
I don't.
Yeah, that whole bigger but not pretty.
Well,
because
pretty,
I mean, from her perspective, everything we've seen is kind of either a cell or the Albuquerque, where it's kind of Adobe layouts and stuff like that. So the only thing I could see her saying pretty is it's like a clear white room, maybe.
I don't know. That's odd.
It's bigger, but not so pretty.
So in this shot, by the way, Kim's makeup really does bother me because, as a natural human, beneath her own jawline is an actual roll of skin. Mm-hmm. So now we have the prosthetic atop her face that sits right above her chin. So we see the line of her chin plus a roll of skin beneath it. So it doesn't even look like a double chin. But then again, if you're not watching this 1 minute at a time, perhaps that's not sinking into you what you're looking at.
If you're just shoving through for that 30
but
seconds.
You see even right there where she would kind of flexed her jaw, you can see the line of her jaw. But one thing, kudos to Kim Hunter. Man, she could turn on the drunk. Literally. I mean, she did not even have to rev up to it. It's like,
here's a grape juice plus.
So he says, and they're your practice comparative. He says, comparative what? And she kind of stumbles over anatomy.
Oh, it's Sean.
And he says, what anatomies did you compare? Interestingly, so she moves her left hand from below up to her left ear, kind of like she did when she was in the hotel room when she got kind of silly and tired. She moved that same hand up. This time, it is an actual direction in the script. Zira hesitates, restlessly moves her head from side to side. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. Moves her head side to side. The hand movement is not. So she repeated the same hand movement that she used in the hotel room.
That's interesting.
To show that she's kind of sleepy and drowsy.
Right.
And then she starts talking about the fact that they dissected apes as well. So why are the humans so concerned that they're dissecting future, quote, dumb humans, but they are also dissecting apes? So why is that any different than just making sure all right, humans can't talk in the future. We're trying to figure out why. Guess what? I'm dissecting a Richard who, in our perspective, is the exact same person as me. That doesn't mean I have a nefarious scheme because I'm dissecting Richard, while I'm also dissecting some apes to see what they do. I mean, some humans to see what they do.
Dane's just looking at the sentences where he says,